Hello and welcome to Fayette County Public Library Storytime. Our first story today is The Tale of Tricky Fox. Once upon a time began the kindly teacher in woods that aren't so very far away. Tricky Fox was bragging to Brother Fox. "Stealing chickens is too easy," said Tricky Fox. "I'm going to get me a fat pig." "I'll eat my hat if you do," said Brother Fox. "There ain't no fox in this whole wide woods that can even carry a fat pig." "I could," said Tricky Fox. "If I was to fool a human into putting one into a sack for me, I could show you." And Tricky Fox, he picked up his sack and he ran off into the woods. Tricky Fox ran and he kept on running until just before it started getting dark. Then he stopped and he picked up a little piece of log and put it into his sack. Then he knocked on the door of a nearby cottage. When a lady opened the door, Tricky Fox hunched over like he was feeble, and in a rickety voice he said, "I'm on my way to Bonnie Bunny Bay. The night grows cold and I'm so old. Please let me stay." Would you believe the fox? The lady felt sorry for him and she said, "Okay, I'll let you stay, but no tricks." "Oh no," said Tricky Fox. "I'm so worn out I can't think of anything but curling up in front of your fire. I'm just worried about my sack is all. I don't like for anyone to look in it, and I'm too tired to guard it." "Don't worry," said the lady. "Leave it with me. I won't look in your sack." "I know you won't," grinned Tricky Fox, and he handed her his sack and pretended to fall asleep. But before the lady went to bed, she couldn't resist a quick peek into that sack, even though she said she wouldn't. "Just a piece of log," she said to herself. Then she blew out the light, pulled up her covers, and fell asleep. Pretty soon, Tricky Fox heard her snoring. Quiet, quiet, quiet. He went over, tippy-toe, tippy-toe, pulled out that piece of log and put it on the fire. Then he went to sleep, sure enough. In the morning, Tricky Fox held up his empty sack and he said, "What's happened to my loaf of bread?" "You didn't have," the lady began to say, and then she stopped herself, remembering that she wasn't supposed to know what was in that sack. "I don't rightly know," she said, too embarrassed to admit the truth. "Must have been the mice. I'll give you a loaf of mine." And she opened up her bread box and put a loaf of her bread into Tricky Fox's sack. "Thank you very kindly," said Tricky Fox, and he took the sack and ran off into the woods. And as he ran, he sang this sassy song. "I'm so clever, T-B-B, trick, trick, trickety, yes, sirree. Snap your fingers, slap your knee, folks ain't smart like me." All day long, Tricky Fox, he hung out in the woods until just before it started getting dark. Then he knocked on the door of another nearby cottage. A lady opened the door, and Tricky Fox hunched over. In a rickety voice, he said, "I'm on my way to Bonnie Bunny Bay. The night grows cold, and I'm so old. Please let me stay." This lady felt sorry for him, and she said, "Okay, I'll let you stay, but no tricks." "Oh no," said Tricky Fox. "I'm just worried about my sack is all. I don't like for anyone to look in it, and I'm too tired to guard it." Don't worry, said the lady. Just leave it with me. I won't look in it. But even so, this lady couldn't resist a quick peek into that sack. Just a loaf of bread, she said to herself, and she went to sleep. When Tricky Fox heard her snoring quiet, 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 he went over, tippy-toe, tippy-toe, took out his loaf of bread, and he gobbled down the whole thing. Then he went to sleep, sure enough. The next morning, Tricky Fox held up his empty sack and he said, "What happened to my chicken?" "You didn't have the lady began, and then she stopped herself, remembering that she wasn't supposed to know what was in the sack. "I don't rightly know," said the lady, too embarrassed to admit the truth. "It must have flown out the window. I'll give you one of mine." And she took the sack and she headed out to her hen house. This is a tricky fox, isn't it? When she was gone, Tricky Fox, he danced around and he laughed and he sang his sassy song. "I'm so clever, tee-hee-hee. Trick, trick, tickery, tricky, yes sirree. Snap your fingers, slap your knee. Human folks ain't smart like me." And when she came back, Tricky Fox took the sack and ran off with it. All day long, Tricky Fox hung out in the woods until just before it started getting dark again. Then he knocked on the door of another nearby cottage. A lady came to the door, and Tricky Fox hunched over, and in a rickety voice he said, "I'm on my way to Bonnie Bunny Bay. The night grows cold, and I'm so old. Please let me stay." This lady felt sorry for him too, and she said, "Okay, I'll let you stay, but no tricks." "Oh no," said Tricky Fox. "I'm just worried about my sack is all. I don't like for anyone to look in it, and I'm too tired to guard it." "Don't worry," said the lady. "Just leave it with me. I won't look in it." What do you think, boys and girls? Do you think the lady will look in the sack again? But this lady couldn't resist a little peek either. "Just a chicken," she said to herself, and she went to sleep. And just as it had happened before, when Tricky Fox heard her snoring, he went over quiet, 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 tippy, tippy toe, and he took out that chicken and he let it loose. In the morning, Tricky Fox held up his sack and he said, "What happened to my pig?" "You didn't have the lady began to say, and then she stopped herself, remembering that she wasn't supposed to know what was in the sack. "I don't rightly know," she said, too embarrassed to admit the truth. "Must have slipped out the door. I'll give you one of mine." And she took Tricky Fox's sack and she headed out to her pig pen. When she was gone, Tricky Fox danced around and he laughed and he laughed and he sang his sassy song. "I'm so clever, tee-hee-hee. Trick, trick, tricky, yes sirree. Snap your fingers, slap your knee. Human folks ain't smart like me." But Tricky Fox hadn't counted on one important thing. And that was that this particular lady was a teacher. And Tricky Fox didn't know that teachers are not so easy to fool as regular humans are. And this lady had gotten suspicious, and she'd come around the side of her house, and she'd watch through the window as Tricky Fox danced and laughed and sang that sassy song of his. "That rascal," she said to herself, "I'll fix him." And instead of going to her pig pen, she went over to her dog house. And instead of putting a pig into Tricky Fox's sack, she put in her bulldog. And then she brought it back, and Tricky Fox hefted it onto his shoulder and ran off. I think somebody's going to be surprised. When Tricky Fox got home, Brother Fox was waiting for him. And when Brother Fox saw that sack, which looked for all the world like there was a fat pig inside of it, he sadly took off his hat, and true to his word, he began biting and chewing and biting and chewing until it was gone. Then Tricky Fox untied the sack, and to their sorry surprise, out jumped that lady's bulldog. And that bulldog, he hit him low and hit him high, and he made the fur just fly, fly, fly. And then he chased him off into the woods. I think they were surprised, all right. And because of what happened that day, said the teacher, every fox in the woods has learned a lesson. And because of what happened, every fox in the wood has been much more respectful of humans. And because of what have happened, you never hear foxes singing sassy songs. And because of what happened, you never ever see one wearing a hat. Okay, Miss Lisa.
All right, now we have another really fun story for you called I'm Afraid Your Teddy is in Trouble. Everybody have a teddy bear at home? Let's see what happens to this teddy bear. How is he going to get himself in trouble? Oh, good, you're home. My name is Officer Hardy. I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but while you were out, we received a number of calls at the police station. I am afraid that your Teddy got in a little bit of trouble today. You had better prepare yourself. It's not a pretty scene. As police officers, we thought we have seen everything. Guys, look at the picture. Can you see what the police officers see? Looks like a party's been going on. Well, we've never seen anything like this. As near as we can figure, the party started shortly after you left for school. Take a look at that mess. I still don't know how he did it, but your teddy bear managed to get a hold of your phone, and apparently he has called all your friends, stuffed animals, and invited them over to your house. And as you can see, they took him up on his offer. So look here at the picture. Who did Teddy Bear call? Penguin? An elephant? Rabbit? Cat? All these animals look like they have their own phone. It appears that they made pancakes, chocolate chip pancakes with blueberries and rainbow sprinkles and cherries and whipped cream. I regret to tell you that your bed is broken too. Oh my goodness. 25 stuffed animals jumping on it all at once will do that. They drew with your crayons, as you can see. They drew all over the walls, and I must say that penguin is a pretty good artist. Which picture do you like? The bat, the clouds, big cat? Looks like they all drew self-portraits. All right, what else has happened in this house? Well, we're piecing it all together after all that we saw, and believe me, looks like they next moved to your mother's bedroom to play dress up with her clothes. I'm sorry to report that elephant may have been wearing the pink frilly underwear on his head. Take a look at that. And after that, they did in fact pour bubble bath all over the floor for a sliding contest. Not good. Not good. Look at that mess they made. Looks like Teddy Bear even has goggles on so he doesn't get the soap in his eyes. From the hallway, we followed a sticky trail of paw prints all the way to the living room. And that's where they piled up your couch cushions and pillows into a kind of, I suppose the term might be a cushion mountain. And they used cookie sheets as sleds. Now, my partner and I have to admit that was pretty clever. Look at them slide down the cushions. After that, they decided to take a bath. Well, not an ordinary bath, I'm afraid. We don't know for sure who thought of the chocolate sauce, but we suspect it may have been the cow. What a mess. Now, kids, don't take a bath in chocolate sauce, okay? Around 2:15, your teddy bear and his friends had a dance party. Well, how do we know? Because that's when the calls started coming in from your neighbors. Oh, and they were not happy at all. Look at all these neighbors. They do not look happy, do they? They are calling the police station. Finally, your teddy somehow managed to get 100 balloons delivered to your place. Now, the delivery man is still outside, by the way, waiting to be paid. Oh, looks like the delivery man was a clown. You see him outside? He doesn't look too happy either. Well, I am sure you understand that all of this has had quite a commotion today. When everybody scattered, the officers went searching house for house, trying to catch all of the house guests. Well, and some of them were pretty high up, and we had to call in the fire department, too. Take a look at Mr. Lion, way up in that tree. Now, I suppose you're wondering where everyone is now. Where are all the friends? And you take a look at the picture and try to guess where they all are hiding? What if we open the door? Let's see. Ta-da! Look at all those friends in that closet. Sir, I take it that you're the ringleader. Look, she's talking to him. Come with me, please. I am going to have to take you down to the station. Uh-oh, poor teddy bear. Now, you know, I used to have a teddy bear once, and he looked a lot like you. Gosh, I haven't thought about him in years. So this is a picture of her as a little girl thinking about her teddy bear. She's even dressed up like a police officer. That must have been her dream as a child. After this, all right, she says, after this time, I'm just going to have to let you go. If you promise me that you will behave yourself from now on, I do not want to get another one of these complaints. Now come on, everyone, let's get into the squad car, and I'll drop you off at your homes. So look at, she's taking all of her teddy bear's guests and putting them in the car. And Teddy, I hope you're going right back into the house to clean up. Now be good. And he's sort of winking his eye. You think he's going to be good? He's got that phone in his hand, boys and girls. You think he's going to be calling for another party? I don't know. This was the story. I'm afraid your teddy bear is in trouble today. All right, now Miss Kim's going to have another story in just a minute, but before we do, I have got some little pieces of cheese. Now, why do I have cheese, you ask? Well, what animal eats cheese? I want you to think about that. While you're thinking about that, Miss Kim's going to have a story about that. But we're going to count the holes in the cheese. You see this cheese? This is like Swiss cheese, and there's holes there. And so we're going to match the holes up from that cheese to the numbers on the board. Boys and girls, can you count with me? So we're going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now the first cheese I held up, can you guys count that? Can you see all those holes right there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now where did we say 6 was? Was it at the beginning of our number line? No, it's way down here, isn't it? All right, so we're going to put our cheese right here, as there's 6 holes, and that's a 6. All right, let's try another piece of cheese. Look at this one. Got a nibble right there off the corner. How many holes do you see, boys and girls? Can you count that? 1, 2. You're right, that is a 2. Now, what number down here is a 2? Can we find the match? This is what a 2 looks like. You guys are so smart. All right, let's try another piece of cheese. Can you see this one? How many holes are in this piece of cheese? I'm going to help you count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is this a 4? No. What about this one? Nope. I think we found our match right here. That is 4. All right, let's try another piece of cheese. Oh, one just fell. What about this one? How many holes are in this piece of cheese? 1, 2, and 3. All right, so is this a 3? Mm-mm. Is this a 3? If you guess that one, then you are right. Let me grab this one that fell off the floor. Oh, now it's dirty. Bad piece of cheese. All right, can we count how many holes are in this one? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we have 2 numbers left. Is this a 5 or is this a 5? Well, let's see. If we count, we go 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's the 5th one. That's right. So what's left, boys and girls? What number is left? 1. And look at this piece of cheese. It only has 1 hole in it. So it matches right there. Okay, so now have you been thinking? What animal eats cheese? If you guessed mouse, you are right. So Miss Kim has a story for us about mice.
And the title of that story is Big Squeak, Little Squeak. This is an old story. It's written many years ago. Once there were 2 mice named Big Squeak and Little Squeak. Big Squeak was little, but had a big squeak. Little Squeak was big, but had a little squeak. And they're sure making a mess in that room. Look at that crooked mirror. And Cheetos. I bet you like Cheetos. I do. Cheetos all over the place. My, what a mess they're making. Big Squeak and Little Squeak stayed home all day, eating cheese curls and watching mouse cartoons on TV. Now, I think he looks like he's kind of happy. He's winking at us. He likes this. But look at this guy. He doesn't look so happy. He looks kind of bored to me. There must be more to life than this, said Little Squeak. Sure there is, said Big Squeak. There's eating real cheese and watching cartoons. So Big Squeak and Little Squeak went down to the cheese store to shop. The cheese store was owned by Mr. Kit Kat, who found running his shop a good way to meet mice. Now, you know that thing about cat and mouse, right? Like the cat likes to have the mouse for dinner. Watch what happens. Many mice had gone into this store, but none had ever come out. Do you think Big Squeak and Little Squeak will escape? Let's see. In walked Big Squeak and Little Squeak. How can I help you, mice? Asked Mr. Kit Kat, rubbing his paws together. We'd like some cheese, said Little Squeak. And look at this big chunk of cheese. Says on the sign, world's biggest Swiss cheese. Might be, for all we can tell, right? And I'd like a nice plump mouse, said Mr. Kit Kat, grabbing Little Squeak by the tail. Oh dear. Help, squeaked Little Mouse. Into a hole in a big Swiss cheese jumped Big Squeak. How could he save Little Squeak? How could he save himself? Then he got an idea. There's Big Squeak inside. See, he's looking out the hole of the Swiss cheese here. And he gets an idea. This is a big cheese talking, he said in his loudest voice. Drop that mouse or I'll fill you full of holes. A talking cheese, said Mr. Kit Kat. I've been in the store too long. Mr. Kit Kat dropped the Little Squeak and ran screaming from the store. Oh my. I think that Big Squeak was rather tricky like our fox earlier, don't you? Big Squeak and Little Squeak let all the mice out of the traps in the basement where Mr. Kit Kat had been saving them for a feast. Then they threw a party for all the freed mice. Wonder if they ate some of Mr. Kit Kat's cheese. Oh, there they are. You can bet there was a whole lot of squeaking going on. Look at that. Wow, they've got party hats on and everything, and there is cheese everywhere. I think they're having fun. And Mr. Kit Kat was never seen again. Not even a whisker. Now, boys and girls, look at the picture. Wonder why Mr. Kit Kat wouldn't show up anymore. You remember that thing about cats and mice? Cats like to eat mice. Well, there's a thing about this one right here. This big dog you see on the page. Look on his apron. It says, "I love cats." Dogs like to chase cats. I think that might have something to do with the reason why Mr. Kit Kat never was seen again, not even a whisker. And there we have some cheese just in the story. I don't know what your favorite cheese is, but I like cheddar awfully well. And I like cheese on just about everything. That's the story of Big Squeak and Little Squeak. All right. We had fun today with our stories. First, we had the Tricky Fox. You remember the Tricky Fox? The Tale of Tricky Fox. And Miss Lisa, your book? I'm afraid your teddy is in trouble today. And our last story, Big Squeak, Little Squeak. Lots of good stories that we can read from time to time. Well, we hope you had a good time as we did. And we just want to let you know that there are a lot more stories down at the library. Come and see us sometime. We'd love to talk with you. Goodbye.
Bye.